Welcome to this Wheel and Anchor webinar on our upcoming Southeast Asia program. Today, I'll guide you through our meticulously crafted itinerary that spans 4 captivating countries. We're going to visit Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. This itinerary makes the ideal trip for those who have never been to this part of the world and want to take in many of the highlights of the region, but at a pace that won't break you like many other tours I've seen. It might also appeal to those of you who've been to one or two of these countries but want to see more of Southeast Asia and to return to some of those of your favorite places once again. I warn you though, this part of Asia is addictive and the odds are pretty high that you might want to return. And this is why we've designed this trip in a way that gives you a good taste of each country, but leaves plenty more to explore on future trips. For those familiar with our webinars, feel free to skip the intro and go straight to the day-by-day itinerary. You'll find the chapters at the bottom of this video or below the description to navigate forward to that part. For newcomers, allow me to share what makes Wheel and Anchor unique in the world of travel. We are a community of like minded Canadians who appreciate a more authentic and immersive approach to travel. We welcome those who understand that most organized travel has become somewhat formulaic. If you're looking for a rushed, tightly scheduled tour with little room for personal exploration, we're probably not the right fit. However, if you value the camaraderie that comes from traveling with fellow enthusiasts and appreciate having a bit of freedom to explore on your own, inside of the organized content of our trips, then you've absolutely come to the right place. Our community focuses on two key goals: being well traveled and well connected. And when we talk about being well traveled, we're not just talking about checking off destinations on a bucket list. There's certainly nothing wrong with having a bucket list. Every good traveler has some dream list of destinations they want to go to. But our aim is to offer experiences that keep your curiosity and your sense of adventure alive. We seek out opportunities that can change your perspective on the world, not only through the organized aspect of our trips, but also in the extended leisure time that allows you and encourages you to discover on your own. Being well connected is about forging friendships that last beyond the trip itself. It's about having a network of fellow travel enthusiasts with whom you can share stories and plan future adventures. It also means having time to genuinely connect with the people and places we visit, not just your fellow members or your guide or host, but striking up conversations with locals and going beyond those surface level interactions to gain a deeper understanding of local culture and way of life. As you can well imagine, delivering on these promises requires dedication and hard work, and we have an exceptional team here at Wheel and Anchor committed to making that happen. My name is Gordon Dreger. I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor, and I curate all of our trips based on over 3 decades of experience of organizing travel for Canadians around the world. While our entire team is crucial, I want to highlight one person, and that is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnick. She is your go-to person for any questions about this or any of our trips, and she'll ensure that you have all the information you need to make an informed decision about joining us on this trip. Our agenda for this webinar is straightforward. I'll be your virtual tour guide, walking you through our trip, which covers cities, towns, mountains, and sea in 4 different countries. I'll start with a geographical overview, which will give you a sense of where this trip is going to take us, followed by a day-by-day explanation of all the highlights. Looking at the map, you can see in the inset the part of Asia that I'm talking about. Our journey is going to start in Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, which is a vibrant, bustling city. From there, we'll fly up to the cultural hub of Chiang Mai before flying over to Luang Prabang with its serene beauty in its mountainous landscape. From there, we'll fly up to Vietnam, specifically the capital Hanoi, with its beautiful historic streets. We'll make a side trip over to Hanoi with the emerald blue waters and the striking mountains that rise up out of the sea. From there, we fly down to Ho Chi Minh City, and our journey will then conclude in Siem Reap, Cambodia, home of the awe-inspiring Angkor Wat. For those interested, we also have a post-trip itinerary where you can enjoy the beautiful white beaches of the island of Phuket in southern Thailand. Our Southeast Asia sojourn encompasses four very distinct countries. Each one offers its own unique cultural heritage, historical significance, and natural beauty. Thailand offers a blend of modern urban life and traditional Buddhist culture. In Bangkok, we'll encounter ornate temples alongside bustling street food markets and towering skyscrapers. Chiang Mai, on the other hand, occurs more like a village than a large city and is set against the backdrop of forested mountains. Laos, particularly Luang Prabang, provides an even more serene atmosphere. This UNESCO World Heritage City is known for its well preserved colonial architecture, numerous Buddhist temples, and the daily almsgiving ceremony that we'll have a chance to participate in. Vietnam, on the other hand, showcases yet again a diverse landscape, from the bustling streets of Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to the natural wonder of Ha Long Bay. This country's complex history is evident in sites like the Cu Chi tunnels. Cambodia's highlight is undoubtedly the Angkor Archaeological Park near Siem Reap. This vast complex of ancient temples, including the iconic Angkor Wat, stands as a testament to the archaeological and artistic achievements of the Khmer Empire. Throughout this journey, you'll experience a wide range of Southeast Asian cultures, cuisines, and landscapes, providing a comprehensive introduction to this dynamic region. Let's jump in to the day by day highlights. We'll begin our adventure in the city of Bangkok, which is quite easily accessible through a number of Asian gateways from Canada. And in fact, the only nonstop service between North America and Thailand is on Air Canada from Vancouver to Bangkok nonstop. So it's a pretty easy city to get to. As you fly over on approach to Bangkok, the vibrant energy of the city will immediately become apparent and envelop you. When you land at Suvarnabhumi Airport, you'll immediately know that you're in the land of a thousand smiles, as Thailand is often referred to. You might also get to experience Bangkok traffic as you make your way by private limousine into the city center. But Thai hospitality will be on display right from the moment you check in, and depending on your arrival time, you'll have the rest of the day to go and explore or rest up from the long journey. We'll gather with our fellow members on our first evening over an icebreaker to begin to make connections with those that you're going to share this overall adventure with. On our first full day, we're going to explore some of the highlights that Bangkok is most well known for. As we embark on our first full day in Bangkok, it's crucial to understand the city's unique geographical context, because Bangkok is situated in the low-lying Chao Phraya River Delta, with much of the city actually barely above sea level. This topography has profoundly influenced the city's development and transportation systems. The Chao Phraya River, which is often called the city's lifeblood, flows through the heart of Bangkok before emptying into the Gulf of Thailand, which is about 30 kilometers to the south. This proximity to the sea, combined with the flat terrain, has made the city particularly vulnerable to flooding and has necessitated the development of an extensive network of canals. Historically, these canals, which are known as klongs, were the primary arteries of transportation in Bangkok. In fact, during the 19th century, the city was known as Venice of the East due to its extensive waterway network. These canals or klongs served multiple purposes. They provided irrigation, drainage, and most importantly, they acted as a crucial transportation corridor for both people and goods. Today, many of the canals have been filled in to make way for roads, but water transport still remains a vital part of the city's transport infrastructure. As we explore this Bangkok today, we'll have the opportunity to experience this unique aspect of the city firsthand. Our boat ride along the Chao Phraya River will not only offer picturesque views, but also provide insight into how the city has adapted to this challenging geographical location. Among the stops we'll visit right along the Chao Phraya River will be the Grand Palace, which is the official but not actual home to Thailand's king, and also home of the revered Temple of the Emerald Buddha. Not far away, we'll also have the chance to visit Wat Arun, which is one of the most iconic temples in the city. But all of this is only going to take us about a half a day, knowing that you may still be a little weary from the long trip over, and it'll allow ample time for you to wander the markets or enjoy the amenities of your hotel. Today's tour around Bangkok will take us to some different parts of the city, including a visit to the former home of one of Thailand's most famous foreign residents. On this morning's excursion, we're going to set off again in a long tail or a similar kind of a canal boat because, from my own experience, this is one of the best ways to see the city and also avoid some of its notorious traffic. Our first stop will be the vibrant Pak Klong Talat flower market, which will be at its busiest. You'll immerse yourself in a sea of colorful blooms and fragrant herbs as all the local vendors are running around preparing their wares for the day. We'll have lunch nearby at a delicious local restaurant. If you don't already love Thai cuisine, you'll certainly learn to love it while you're there. And then we'll visit the Jim Thompson House, which is a beautifully preserved example of traditional Thai architecture. We'll see his art collection, and he was a very mysterious American silk entrepreneur who completely revitalized Thailand's silk industry. In fact, his name is known in design circles around the world. As the day winds down, we'll have a leisurely evening and perhaps we'll indulge in a traditional Thai massage. Certainly, your host is going to be recommending many of them along the way, or you can also venture out to see one of Bangkok's famous night markets. Today, we leave Bangkok and head out for the 1 hour flight up to Chiang Mai. As we arrive into this historic city, we'll be immediately struck by its unique charm and rich heritage. Chiang Mai's old city, where we'll be staying, is testament to the city's 700-year history. The area is defined by its ancient walls and moat, which date back to the city's founding way back in the end of the 13th century. It's a rectangular fortification measuring 1,800 by 2,000 meters. In fact, if you look at a map, it almost looks like a perfect square, and it was constructed to protect the new capital of the Lana Kingdom. The moat, which still surrounds the city, is not just a historical relic, but it's actually a living part of Chiang Mai's identity. It serves as a focal point for major cultural events and provides a picturesque setting for exploring the city. We'll see lots of it during the festival that's going to take place during our stay here. As we settle into our hotel, we'll be right in the middle of this historic area. That evening, we'll gather together for a welcome dinner and we'll have our first taste of northern Thai cuisine. Thailand has a vast array of cuisines that vary from region to region. This will set the stage for our culinary journey, not just around Chiang Mai, but through the rest of the region. As we dine, we'll probably be going to be witnessing some of the preparations for the upcoming Yiping and Loy Krathong festivals. These are magical lantern festivals, and we'll have a chance to experience them, which is why we decided to have the trip during this time. This first day will be a perfect introduction to this captivating city, where the ancient walls and modern life coexist in incredible and fascinating harmony. Today's excursion will take us around some of the incredible temples that are at the heart of Chiang Mai's cultural center. We'll see places like Wat Phra Singh, which has an incredible Buddha image and is designed in this Lana style architecture. We'll hear a lot about that. And also Wat Chedi Luang, which is a huge, albeit partially ruined pagoda. Many things in store, but what I really want to highlight on our visit here is the fact that we'll be there during a very special time of the year, and that's Loy Krathong. So the beauty of being here at this time of the year is that we get two festivals that happen at one time. The first of which, as I mentioned, is called Loy Krathong, which translates to floating basket, and it has its roots in ancient Siamese culture. It's a festival which began over 700 years ago during the Sukhothai period, and it was a way to pay respect to the water spirits, seeking forgiveness for using and sometimes polluting the rivers. And you'll certainly see evidence of that all around Thailand. Over time, it evolved into sort of a broader celebration of renewal and hope. Today, Loy Krathong is a vibrant and multifaceted festival that captivates both the locals, thousands of residents take to the street, and of course, the visitors who benefit from this grand spectacle. The main event involves releasing these small handmade baskets, which are called kratongs, into the rivers, canals, and ponds. They're typically made from banana leaves and decorated with flowers, candles, and incense, which creates a breathtaking scene as they float away, carrying with them people's wishes and any negativity from the past year. Loy Krathong also coincides with the Lana, which is the Northern Thai festival of Yi Peng, which makes it an even more spectacular event because during Yi Peng, thousands of sky lanterns called Kom Loy are released into the night sky, which creates this incredible display of floating lights. The combination of the kratongs on the water and the glowing lanterns makes an absolutely otherworldly atmosphere. And you can see I've participated in this myself before, and this is one of those things that you will remain with you for the rest of your life. These days, they have somewhat reduced the number of lanterns they release into the sky because you can imagine there's quite an environmental impact, but it is nonetheless an incredibly dramatic evening to participate in while in Chiang Mai. Today, we're going to head out of town a little bit up into the mountains to one of the most celebrated temples in the region. We'll likely head up to Doi Sutep, which is about a half an hour drive outside the city, as early as sunrise, because it's a perfect time to capture this beautiful golden temple during the morning light. Once we get up there, we'll have to climb up about 300 steps to get up to the temple itself, although there is a small little elevator or funicular for those that don't want to do the pilgrimage up to the temple. And we will be in front of one of the country's most sacred temples. As the morning mist clears, it'll review a panoramic view of the city, which is down underneath. After we visit, we'll also stop at Wat Umong, which is the forest temple, and actually the one that was even more beloved by our members who've been with us to Chiang Mai before, because it's known for its ancient tunnels and a very serene atmosphere. You get to wander around underneath the trees, feeding the resident fish and the turtles in the pond, and here we may also get the opportunity to participate in Loy Krathong by releasing these beautifully decorated baskets into the river. So we'll leave Thailand for this leg of the journey and take our flight up to Luang Prabang in Laos. As we fly over the mountainous territory, you'll immediately get a sense of the serene beauty that surrounds this UNESCO World Heritage City. We'll be greeted at the airport and be taken to this lovely and elegant hotel in the middle of the city. We'll have time to unwind and soak in this tranquil atmosphere. It'll be quite different from what we've experienced in Thailand thus far. In the evening, we'll head out on a stroll around the famous night market, which is a bazaar that comes absolutely alive after the sunset, and it offers a real sensory feast of sights, sounds, and smells. We'll wander around the strolls. There'll be exquisite and intricate handicrafts and textiles. This is definitely a place to do some shopping. In fact, even Thai people come over the border into Laos to do their shopping because of all the great bargains. We'll have a welcome dinner, our first of our dinners in Laos at the hotel, and we'll get a taste of Lao cuisine. And you'll see that there are similarities to Thai cuisine, but at the same time, it's something different once again. On today's excursion, we're going to head out of town once again and see a little bit of the rural area surrounding Luang Prabang. A little over half an hour outside of town, we'll find in the lush countryside a beautiful waterfall called Kwang Si. On the way there, we're going to stop at this bear rescue center, which is a sanctuary for the black bears that are rescued from poaching. They're quite endangered in this part of the world. So the visit will give us a bit of an insight into the local conservation efforts. Once we arrive at the falls, we'll have a wonderful picnic breakfast amongst this beautiful splendor of the surroundings. You can even take a dip in the turquoise blue water if you're feeling adventurous. It's certainly a fun thing to do. As we make our way back into town, we're going to stop at a paper village called Bang Kong, which is known for its mulberry bark paper. We'll see how they produce this and look at the so-called sa paper handicraft, which has a whole array of locally made products. That afternoon, our adventure continues onto the Mekong River, on which Luang Prabang sits, and we'll take a cruise to pass by the Pak O Buddha caves, which are home to thousands of Buddha statues. This is again a very cool sight that you don't get to see in many places. You get glimpses of river life along the river, along the banks of the river, and by the end of the day, we'll get to stroll along the banks of the Mekong and have a little sunset cocktail to enjoy this tranquil Lao atmosphere. And we'll have a beautiful tasting platter that evening, which is served by candlelight. This will be probably the most memorable day of our visit to Laos. On our last full day in Laos, we'll have the opportunity to participate in a very special ceremony. It's part of the daily routine for locals here in Laos, but for many of us, it'll be the first time that we'll have had the chance to participate in what's known as the alms to the monks. The whole experience is absolutely serene and beautiful. You'll see people lining the streets, much as like you see me here in the picture, making small donation of food to the monks as they go by. Monks, as you know, divulge themselves of all of their possessions, and they live off the bounty, off the generosity of people in the community. And so this is what this daily ritual is all about, and this will be a very memorable part of our experience in Luang Prabang. We'll continue on with a walking tour of the old town, starting at the National Museum, which is housed in the former royal palace, and it showcases a unique collection of royal artifacts. We'll also head over to a traditional Lao house on stilts, which serves as a small museum, a cafe, and a handicraft center. We'll head down and visit a few picturesque alleys along the Mekong River. We might have a fruit shake overlooking the river, and we'll end up at Wat Giang Tong, which is often considered one of Luang Prabang's most beautiful temples. It has incredible architecture and a mosaic featuring the Tree of Life. That afternoon, for those that want to see some elephants, we'll visit an elephant sanctuary where we can learn more about conservation of elephants. There'll be an opportunity to feed them and also visit the sanctuary's hospital and get a deeper insight into elephant welfare because, of course, the whole relationship to these animals has changed over recent decades, and efforts continue to be made to ensure that they are not involved in either the shows or in sort of the hard labor that they were subjected to for so many years. Our adventure to Luang Prabang will end up with an incredible farewell dinner in a little private mini garden restaurant where we'll actually have a cooking class to make some of these Lao dishes with the local chefs, and then we'll get to enjoy what we've made in a very intimate setting. The end of the evening will be a very special traditional Lao bachi ceremony, which offers blessings of good luck and protection. In the morning, we will then head to the airport and catch our flight, making our way from Laos to the capital city of Vietnam, Hanoi. Now, Hanoi is a city where centuries of history really blend with sort of a modern vitality, but there's a different vibe here than there is to Ho Chi Minh in the south, which is sort of the commercial capital of the country, whereas Hanoi retains that sort of air of the communist regime that still governs the country. We'll head into our hotel after a little time to settle in and relax. We'll take a stroll around Hon Kiem Lake, which is right in the heart of the city. We'll get to see locals practicing Tai Chi and playing chess as the sun sets. It's a really neat experience to see how they have fun and relax in this local atmosphere. We'll have our first taste of Vietnamese cuisine, some of my favorite anywhere, at the rooftop restaurant of the hotel. There's a great panoramic view over the city, and we'll have some very traditional delicacies, some of which you may have tried before, like pho, the Vietnamese noodle soup, or ban jo. This will be a perfect start for our Vietnamese adventure. Today, we'll head off for a full day, capturing all of the highlights of this great capital city of Hanoi. We'll take a full day to look around Hanoi, and we'll start off, ironically, at Ba Dinh Square, which is where we'll find the mausoleum to Ho Chi Minh. Now, of course, the city in the south of Vietnam was named after him. Nevertheless, he is a revered figure all across the country. We'll also visit there the One Pillar Pagoda, but then we'll head on to the Temple of Literature, which is the first university in Vietnam, and they have these ancient stone statues that honor generations of scholars who graduated here. We'll have lunch at Koto, which is a restaurant that trains underprivileged youth. And so that is always something that we love to include, is the ability to do something for those who are less fortunate. We'll get a chance to delve into the bustling part of the old quarter, navigating around the narrow streets that were all named for the various goods that they used to produce, from silver to bamboo and a bunch of other interesting items. The highlight of the day, though, might be a water puppet show. This is something that's, again, very much a part of culture and tradition in Vietnam. It's an art form that dates way back to the 11th century, and it's really amazing to see how these puppeteers are able to maneuver these puppets and make really what will be undoubtedly a mesmerizing show. Today, we'll check out from our hotel in Hanoi and take a couple hours drive out to the East Coast, where we're going to witness one of the most spectacular landscapes in all of Southeast Asia. Ha Long Bay is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Vietnam, which is an absolutely breathtaking natural wonder, which is known for emerald blue waters and thousands of towering limestone islands. These karst formations, which began forming some 500 million years ago, are the result of centuries of erosion by wind, rain, and sea. This bay offers a really unique landscape, and it kind of gives you a glimpse into the Earth's ecological history, and is really a stunning background for exploration on our ship for a couple of days. As we cruise around the bay, you'll encounter really quite a diverse ecosystem with all kinds of marine life, fish, corals, other creatures. The bay has a complex sort of topography with all kinds of islands and estuaries, and it's a perfect environment actually for this biodiversity that lives within here. Beyond the natural beauty, there's also a whole host of cave systems, such as the phreatic caves, which are located up at higher elevations. These caves, along with the floating villages that are dotted amongst the islands, offer us a chance to explore both the geological and the cultural aspects of this unique part of Vietnam. We'll have a chance to explore some of the hidden grottos by kayak or by taking a hike up to Titov Island, which has panoramic views, much like the one you see in the photo here. You can also just choose to take it all in by relaxing on deck. Regardless, Ha Long Bay offers a truly unforgettable experience. It'll be undoubtedly one of the highlights of this trip, to witness the incredible power of nature and how it is formed this area over the course of time. For our overnight sailing, we're going to be aboard the Indochine Premium, which is a luxurious ship, one of the nicest in the whole region, and it kind of blends European elegance with Asian influence. It's got lots of great amenities, just perfect to enjoy our experience cruising around the bay. There's like 1,100 square feet of sun deck. There's a swimming pool. There's a massage studio. There's even a little mini golf course and a sky lounge and an infinity deck. So lots of great amenities to enjoy. The dining on board is truly exquisite. Obviously, with a focus on excellent Vietnamese cuisine, but continental choices as well. And they really pride themselves on using locally sourced ingredients as much as possible. A great feature is the fact that the ship has only 37 staterooms. In fact, they refer to them all as junior suites. So they're a comfortable and quite spacious place to retreat. And each one has either twin beds or queen size beds. And they are all beautifully designed. Really, the quality of the furniture is like a five-star hotel. Well, this is a five-star ship. Fine linen, natural wooden furniture like you can see here in the picture. Again, very comfortable, luxurious bathroom with premium amenities. The attention to detail is really terrific. So this is, once you get on board, you're probably not going to want to get off, even though we are only enjoying this for one overnight. Waking up in the morning, you'll have a chance to either do a Tai Chi session aboard the ship as the sun rises, or you can sleep in a little bit and have a little light breakfast. There'll be a chance for one more swim or a hike up a local island, but then we'll have to disembark and make our way to the airport in Hanoi for our flight down to Ho Chi Minh City. By the time we get to the airport and down on our flight down to Ho Chi Minh, we'll be checking into our hotel and we'll get a chance to already discover the flavors of southern Vietnam. We're going to be having dinner at a place called Quan Bai Garden, which is a culinary oasis amongst the busy urban landscape of the city. So, and I say this is a place where you will get to experience this delicious and quite distinctive food from what you find in the north, and a great way to finish off a day that will have started off in the beautiful surroundings of Halong Bay. Today's excursion will focus on the many highlights of Ho Chi Minh City itself. We're going to be visiting a number of different sites, but we'll probably start off visiting some of the colonial era buildings, such as the Central Post Office and the neo-Romanesque Notre Dame Cathedral pictured here. We'll also have a chance to visit the War Remnants Museum, which will take a look at Vietnam's recent history. We will certainly all know a little bit about the story of the Vietnam War, and we'll certainly get some reminders of what that was all about. And certainly interesting to get it from the Vietnamese perspective. After we've had some lunch, we'll head over to the Jade Emperor Pagoda. And as soon as you walk in, you'll be struck by the incense-filled halls, which have incredibly intricate carvings and statues. It's a remarkable place to visit, and quite again a switch from the colonial side of the city that we'll visit in the morning. That evening, you'll have a chance to go on a street food adventure by Vespa. So that's not for the faint of heart, but at the same time, I kind of recommend, obviously, one of the primary modes of transportation, not only in Ho Chi Minh, but many of the cities in Southeast Asia are scooters or Vespas. And it's a great way to bounce around the markets to sample some of the seafood, just like the locals do. So many delicious things to try. Pho, of course, noodle soup. You might have had it once before at home in Canada, or banjo. That or one of the other delights that will be available on the markets in Ho Chi Minh. Today's itinerary is going to take us to one of the sobering reminders of the Vietnam War. We'll drive a short way outside the city to get to the Cu Chi tunnels. These were a vast network of underground tunnels that were used throughout the war by the Vietnamese to shield themselves from the American attacks. And visiting it will allow us to see the resilience of the Vietnamese people as they were fighting forces that were far greater than them. We'll get a chance to crawl through sections of the tunnel. Of course, for those who are a bit claustrophobic, it's maybe not a good idea, but generally we'll be in parts of the tunnels that where they had kitchens and sleeping areas, so wider parts of the tunnels. It's really remarkable because although we'll only see a small portion of it, these went on for hundreds of kilometers, and we can see how they lived life underground. We'll head back to the city later in the afternoon for lunch at a place called Wat Tuk, which is a former opium refinery, and then we'll head over to visit a coffee studio to learn a little bit about Vietnam's coffee culture from a local barista. That evening, another cultural highlight for us, we'll go to the historic Saigon Opera House. Saigon, of course, is the name that many people still refer to um, Ho Chi Minh as, and there we'll have a mesmerizing performance of the AO show. This is a acrobatics, music, visual to storytelling that tell a little bit about the history from Vietnam as it evolved from a very rural-oriented nation to the urban um, urban centers that it is today. We bid farewell to Vietnam and hop on a short flight then from Ho Chi Minh up to Siem Reap in Cambodia. And when we arrive here as well, we'll be greeted with another different kind of Southeast Asian hospitality, which is quite unique to Cambodia. One of the interesting things that I found out about this country is how well that English is spoken compared to any of the surrounding countries, despite the fact that it is not nearly as advanced economically as some of its neighbors. We'll get through the whole visa process. Cambodia requires only an e-visa to get into the country, very easy to obtain online. And we'll head downtown to a lovely hotel where we'll spend for the next 3 nights. Be a chance to relax a little bit in the warm weather, enjoy the amenities of the hotel, or there's tons of markets. It's a very bustling city. I mean, Siem Reap is really all about the providing the touristic infrastructure to visit all of the Angkor archaeological complex. So there's tons of markets and cafes. It has quite a lively and fun atmosphere. We'll get a chance to savor some traditional Khmer cuisine. This is the cuisine that you'll find in this part of Cambodia. Things like fish amok or beef lok lak. So we'll find out what it is that the locals enjoy in that part of Cambodia. Today's tour out is going to be a particularly special one, although it's going to have us rise up quite early in the morning before the sun rises. This will be our introduction to Angkor Wat, which will be as memorable an event as any along this trip. And of course, as you've already seen, there are quite a few. So at sunrise, we will go over to the East Gate, which is not the main gate. It's the more secluded gate. The vast majority of tourists enter through the main gate, and we'll go in by flashlight. And so you'll be able to sort of feel the rough texture of the ground. Of course, we'll have flashlights to illuminate as we make our way inside the temple, and the sun will rise in behind the temple and create this incredible, this iconic silhouette of Angkor Wat. The carvings will get lit up as the sun rises, and you'll see the reflection off of the lotus ponds, which are in the moat surrounding Angkor Wat. I'll tell you, it is an incredible experience. We'll have time to explore the temple. We'll get lots of information about how it came to pass and how it was discovered relatively recently. Then we'll once we're done exploring, we'll head out and have a traditional Khmer breakfast in a wooden house in a little village called Sra Sarang, not far away. From there, we head over to another temple called Tap Prom, where huge tree roots have kind of taken over a lot of the stonework that the temple was built on. It creates an incredibly and a hauntingly beautiful scene. We'll then continue over to Angkor Thom, which is the second most arguably temple in the Angkor archaeological complex, where we'll go through the Victory Gate there and walk around this temple, finishing at the Bayon with all of these intricately carved faces. Again, Angkor Thom is for what Angkor Wat is in its grandeur. Angkor Thom is in the intricacy of all the carvings. Two incredible temples that we will visit, and we'll celebrate it all over a cocktail by the pool later in the afternoon, having visited one of the most important UNESCO sites in all of Southeast Asia. On today's excursion, we're going to head out first visiting a little bit more of Siem Reap itself, but then we're going to head over to Tonle Sap, the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia. We'll start off visiting some special parts of Siem Reap, including Kandal Village and the bustling Old Market. But most importantly, we're going to head over to a place called Sacha, which is a innovative handicraft center where local artisans are making ethical souvenirs. So you'll see how things are actually created by hand. You'll have an opportunity to buy stuff which is where you can actually see where it comes from. And I know this is something that our Wheel and Anchor members really appreciate, is when you can buy something more or less directly from the artisan. So a great place to save up for any shopping that you've done, so you don't have to schlep stuff all over. This would be one of the places to take things home from, and I would certainly encourage that. Later on that afternoon, we're going to head to Tonle Sap itself. And again, this is the largest freshwater lake, the level of which varies significantly between the monsoon season and the dry season. And we will head out on a boat and we'll glide past villages that in the dry season are just houses on stilts. Whereas in the wet season, if it weren't for the fact that all these entire villages being on stilts, they would of course be underwater. At the same time, there are forests of trees that are completely submerged. It's a fascinating place to visit. And as the sun sets, it'll cast this wonderful hue, this color over the lake, over these villages. It'll be a very fitting end to a trip that has taken us from some bustling and busy and growing urban centers like Bangkok and Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, to more serene landscapes like the one here at Tonle Sap. The main portion of our Southeast Asia sojourn ends here in Siem Reap, and you'll be able to catch a flight back to either Bangkok or perhaps onto Taiwan, depending on the flight routing that you choose to get to Southeast Asia in the first place. But for those who would like to spend a little bit more time, we've put together a post trip for the wonderful beaches in southern Thailand. To get to the island of Phuket, which is in the southern part of Thailand on the Andaman Sea, otherwise known as the Indian Ocean, we're going to fly back to Bangkok and take a quick 1 hour flight, and we'll soon find ourselves adjacent to some of the most beautiful beaches in Southeast Asia. Our post trip will consist of a total of 4 nights, and we're going to stay at one of the lovely resorts on the west coast of the island. And from here, there's a number of different activities we can do, or having just completed a lengthy trip through Southeast Asia, we might just want to relax on the beach. Now, there's more than just one beach on Phuket. In fact, they go practically all the way around the island. But there's a lot more to this destination than just the beaches, even if that's what most of the people come for. There's some amazing cultural sites as well. And one of the things that you might want to consider doing is taking an optional excursion to visit some of the temples, and in particular, the big Buddha statue, which sits on top of the hill in the southern part of the island and has commanding views over nearby Kata and Karon beaches, as well as the Indian Ocean. Of course, taking a boat trip is practically a must. And between the island of Phuket and the mainland in the area called Krabi, you have a beautiful bay called Phang Na. And this is where you'll find very similar limestone karst formations like we saw in Halong Bay in Vietnam. The islands just jut out of the ocean with the turquoise blue water, some of the most beautiful scenery you'll find anywhere in the country. And this is, of course, home to, among other things, the famous James Bond Island, where one of the early James Bond films was filmed. You could also take a boat trip over to the Phi Phi Islands, which were made famous by Leonardo DiCaprio in the film The Beach. Many places to visit in taking either a high-speed boat trip or one of the long tails. You would be remiss not to visit some of the beautiful islands in and around Phuket. And we can't forget eating, of course. The cuisine in Thailand is ubiquitous around the world, but it is simply not better than it is in Thailand. So, another excursion that one could do in Phuket is to make a visit to Phuket town, which is the urban center, if you will, of this bustling island. You will find a number of buildings with sort of exploring into the Sino-Portuguese architecture, but more importantly, the street markets, which are, as I say, ubiquitous across Thailand. But here you'll find some of the tastiest morsels that you can get anywhere on the island. From Phuket, it's a quick trip back to Bangkok for your return flight home. But of course, as always, you can extend your stay a little longer. And certainly, if you like the beach culture that South Thailand is so well known for, there's many other places one could visit to extend your Thailand holiday a little bit longer. I've hopefully given you a taste of what you can expect on our Southeast Asia sojourn throughout this webinar. There's, of course, a lot more details to be had, and so you can find out the logistics about our next upcoming trip here to Southeast Asia by going to our webpage, the next upcoming trip. There'll be a link in the description box on YouTube that will take you directly to that. There, you'll also find the download link for our trip itinerary, where you can get a detailed e-brochure that has a description of everything that I've talked about and much more, as well as the pricing for this for our next upcoming trip. Don't forget as well to ask for a copy of our trip-specific reference guide. This is like our logistics FAQ that gives you more detailed information about all those things you would need to know if you wanted to seriously consider joining us for this trip through Southeast Asia. Irrespective of all that, we're of course always happy to answer your questions. And so the best way to get a hold of us is to drop us an email, either directly to Paula, who is our lead trip specialist, or otherwise to info@wheelandanchor.ca. That way we can have a call with you and make sure that any questions that you might have, any concerns or things that you want to know about this trip, we can address and make sure that you are ready and able to join us on this exciting trip across Southeast Asia. Thank you for taking in this webinar today. I hope you've learned a little bit more about this exciting itinerary. This is quite unique. I spent a lot of time looking at what's available and, more importantly, creating the experience that I think our Wheel and Anchor members enjoy. If you like watching these webinars on a regular basis, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on subscribe below, and that will give you a notification every time we post a new one of these webinars. They come out about every week or so, and so you can stay a little bit ahead of the game. But of course, we always mention it in our weekly newsletter, which if you are not already receiving it, you can certainly visit our webpage and subscribe to that, and then you'll be totally in the loop on all of the exciting programs we have here at Wheel and Anchor. Once again, thanks for joining us. Have yourself a great day.